It began with letters, cryptic, chilling, and infuriatingly taunting. The Zodiac Killer, as the press would later call him, sent messages to newspapers in Northern California, claiming responsibility for murders and daring law enforcement to stop him. One cipher threatened more bloodshed if it was not published. The police were stumped. The public was terrified. And yet, despite decades of investigation, the man known as the Zodiac Killer was never caught. By all accounts, he seemed an ordinary and unremarkable figure who walked among the citizens of Northern California. Yet his carefully crafted letters, cryptic codes, and methodical murders revealed a mind both cunning and ruthless. The fear he sowed was not just from his acts of violence, but from the knowledge that he was always several steps ahead, and no one knew who he truly was. The late 1960s in Northern California was a time of cultural revolution and social unrest. The Bay Area buzzed with counterculture movements, civil rights activism, and anti-establishment sentiment. This backdrop made the Zodiac Killer both terrifying and strangely fitting, a predator, exploiting the freedom of movement and the anonymity of the era. The killer's crimes began in December 1968, targeting young couples parked in remote areas, secluded from prying eyes. The first victims, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, were gunned down on a gravel road in Vanish. Their murder shocked the local community. A peaceful drive turned into a nightmare. Within months, other attacks followed, including the shooting of Darlene Farron and Michael Mago in Valley. Mago survived and provided a partial description, but even this would prove frustratingly vague. The brutality of the crimes, combined with the killer's eerie composure in sending letters to newspapers, created a climate of fear across the Bay Area. Every letter contained ciphers, some of which remain unsolved to this day. He demanded attention, and the press obliged, unknowingly helping him cultivate the legend that would outlast his active years. The Zodiac's letters were as notorious as his murders. He often included ciphers complex, sometimes partially solved, sometimes still baffling cryptographers decades later. One cipher famously threatened mass killings if not published on the front page. The letters were meticulous. Each punctuation, each line, and each symbol was intentional. His communications revealed a man obsessed with control, public attention, and intellectual games. Every new letter rekindled fear in communities, fueled media coverage, and frustrated police investigations. Some letters even included threats to police, boasting about his ability to evade capture and mocking investigators who failed to identify him. He signed with a symbol resembling a crosshair, further cementing his identity as the Zodiac. Law enforcement faced immense challenges. The Zodiac moved across multiple counties, forcing collaboration between agencies that were often uncoordinated. Early sketches were vague, eyewitness reports inconsistent. Suspects ranged from drifters to local residents, but no solid leads ever crystallized. Arthur Lee Allen became the prime suspect in many investigations. He had a criminal background, strange behaviors, and access to potential weapons, yet forensic evidence remained inconclusive. Allen denied involvement until his death, leaving the case unresolved. Multiple other suspects were investigated over the years, but each lead ended in frustration. The Zodiac's careful planning, coupled with the limitations of 1960s law enforcement technology, rudimentary communication systems, primitive fingerprint analysis, and lack of centralized DNA databases allowed him to remain free. The Zodiac's letters were published in newspapers, creating both fear and fascination. He demanded media attention, manipulating public perception to keep himself in the headlines. Teenagers, couples, and anyone venturing into remote areas were suddenly aware of the lurking threat, and crime stories gripped the region's consciousness. His ciphers challenged amateur cryptographers, mathematicians, and curious citizens alike. Some were solved, revealing taunts, threats, and confessions. Others remain undeciphered to this day. Solution, each unsolved puzzle, only deepened the mystery and prolonged the Zodiac's notoriety. The Zodiac understood the power of fear. He created a persona that was omnipresent, yet invisible. Letters were personalized. Ciphers demanded attention, and each attack reinforced the legend. The public became participants in a terrifying game, reading about murders in the newspaper, attempting to decode letters, and speculating on the identity of the killer. Theories abound regarding the Zodiac's identity and fate. Many criminologists argue that he was exceptionally intelligent, meticulous, and cautious. His choice of victims, timing, and communications suggest a strategic mind capable of evading capture. Some researchers propose that Zodiac may have been a persona used by more than one individual. Variations in methods, handwriting, and communication styles suggest the possibility of copycats or collaborators contributing to the crimes. Others highlight the limitations of 1960s law enforcement. Minimal coordination between jurisdictions, slow forensic processing, and limited communication technology. The Zodiac exploited these gaps, ensuring his anonymity. A common theory is that the Zodiac eventually stopped killing and blended into society. He may have died of natural causes, moved elsewhere, or simply chose anonymity. This theory is supported by the cessation of confirmed murders and letters in the late 1970s. The Zodiac Killer case has influenced media, literature, film, and popular culture. Books like Zodiac by Robert Graysmith and films like David Fincher as Zodiac 2007 explore the chilling details of the crimes. The case demonstrates the intersection of criminal psychology, forensic investigation, media influence, and public fear. Amateur sleuths and professional investigators continued to revisit the case, attempting to decode letters, verify sightings, and apply modern forensic techniques. Even decades later, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains a source of intrigue. Every unsolved cipher, every unidentified letter, and every unresolved theory keeps the story alive, a testament to both the killer's cunning and the enduring human fascination with unsolved mysteries. Ultimately, the Zodiac Killer was never caught, leaving a void filled with speculation, horror, and curiosity. His calculated attacks, cryptic letters, and psychological manipulation created a legend that transcends time. Authorities may never definitively identify him. He may have died, or he may have lived on, hidden in plain sight. The Zodiac Killer remains one of the most haunting figures in American criminal history. A reminder that sometimes the most terrifying predators are those who are never held accountable. The letters, ciphers, and unsolved murders continue to captivate, challenge, and haunt the public imagination. The question remains, who was the Zodiac Killer, and why was he never caught?